Okay, so we're
This
gonna.
is Mrs. Foreman's daughter speaking. Don't listen to anything he says.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Lily. All right, now let's turn on the calculator and let's open up the parentheses. Right, so we got 8.99. We can do this faster using the tablet. The tablet pen. Okay, 8.99 times. Nope, it's gonna go faster with the cursor. Times 10. And then I'm going to use the double E function for exponent. Times 10 to the ninth. We'll close the parentheses. And then we'll open up another parentheses. 1.0 times 10. Alright, second. Double E minus 6. Alright. And then we have to multiply it by that other charge. And remember, I'm just using the absolute values. I'm not putting in the negative signs here. 3.0 times 10. Second function, double E, negative 6. So these we have to put in the negative signs, right? Because they're the exponents. And then we're going to divide all that by, alright, 1.5, close parentheses, and we'll raise that to the second power. Alright, let's see what we get. 11.98, rounded to 11.99. And so that is the force of charge 2 on charge 1. So, force of charge 2 on charge 1 is 11.99 newtons. Okay, now we have to do the force of charge 3 on charge 1. Okay, so the force of charge 3 on charge 1, we're going to have K times Q1, I will just put the formula here, times Q2 over D squared, right? So we got 8.99 times 10 to the ninth Newton, Newton times meter squared per coulomb squared. Okay, multiplied by the two charges, divided by square of the distance between them. So what are the two charges? Charge 3. Well, we're going to pick actually charge 3 and charge 1. So let's change this Q2 to a charge 3. There we go. Alright, so we have Q1 is 1.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and charge 3 is negative 6.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and the distance between them is going to be 2 meters. Okay, so we'll pull up our calculator and we'll see what we get. Here's our calculator. Let's clear what's in there. Okay, use the cursor for that. Alright, and let's do it. Oh, actually, if I was smart, I would have kept what I had before and just changed a couple of numbers, but now we're going to start over.
But he's not smart.
Thank you. Times 10 to the e to the 9 times 1.0 times e to the double E minus 6 times 6.0 times 10 double E minus 6. Okay, divided by, alright, 2 raised to the second power. Alright, and what do we get? 13.485. So we'll say 13.485, we'll say 13.49. 13.49 newtons. And this was positive, right? So now the total force, okay, is, and I don't know, maybe we'll just call it net force, is going to be the force of charge 2 on charge 1 plus the force of charge 3 on charge 1. Okay, and okay, and so what do we have? We have negative 11.99 newtons plus 13.49 newtons. Okay, you could pull up the calculator. Since we have that value already stored, we'll just add that to negative 11.99, and there's our answer to that part. 1.495 newtons or 1.5 newtons. That is the total force, combined force of those two charges on charge 1. And I will take a look at part B. Okay, so part B says, tell why generally a third charge of negative. Okay, so there was no part B to that problem. Part B is for the next problem. So let me type it out and then we'll examine that problem. Okay, so here's the next problem. 2 point charges. Q1 equals 3.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and Q2 equals negative 4 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, lie along the x-axis and are placed 1.5 meters apart. Include diagrams with your answers to aid in your explanations. Alright, so let's draw this diagram. Right? We got a Q1, we have Q2, and the distance between them, 1.5 meters. Okay. Q1 is 3.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and Q2 negative 4.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. Okay, determine the force between the charges. So the force between the charges, K times Q1 times Q2 over R squared, and I'm going to pause it and set up the calculator and just give you the final answer. Okay, so I've put in all the calculations, and this is what I came up with, 47.94. Let's call it an even 48 newtons. So that's the electrostatic force between them. And now the next question says, tell why generally a third charge of negative 5.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, if placed between charges Q1 and Q2, could never experience a net force of 0. Alright, so now for part B, we're going to put a charge of negative, let's say Q3. There we go. Q3 of negative 5.0 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, right? And where could it be placed, or could it be placed anywhere so that the net force is 0? Okay, well, if you look at the magnitudes, okay, so as I look at this question B, I don't think it was worded very well, because D is asking for an exact location that the net force could be 0. Well, if there is an exact location, then B, it can't be true that it would never experience a net force of 0. So I think B it should be reworded to say, tell why generally a third charge, if placed midway, right, between charges, could never experience a net force of 0, right? So now that makes sense, because here if you look at the magnitudes, you have a force of attraction between charge 1 and charge 2. If you just multiply those values, Q1 and Q3, then I said charge 2, I meant charge 3. If you multiply Q1 times Q3, you get 3 times 5 is 15. If you multiply the charges of Q3 and Q2, you get 5 times 4, which is 20. So 15 clearly is not equal to 20. The square of the distance is between them would be the same. Of course, K is the same. So you couldn't have that charge halfway between them. Okay? So the question is, C, should the charge Q3 be placed to the left of Q1 or to the right of Q2 so that the net force would be 0? Okay, so I think we need to make another correction here. So the charge Q3, we should be saying to the right of Q1. Again, I just copied this question from somewhere else. And, okay, so it should read like that. Okay. Or to the left. Okay, so that looks better. So it looks like if you wanted to get those magnitudes a little bit closer to being equal, of course the distances between them would change. You'd need to nudge it over to the left. So now the only thing left in part D is to actually calculate the exact location. We'll do that next. Alright, so to make this a little bit easier to understand, we know the total distance between Q1 and Q2 is 1.5. Let's say we define the distance between Q1 and Q3 as D, right? So now this distance is D, and then this distance would be 1.5 minus D. So this is 1.5 minus D. Okay, so now for the net force to be 0, okay, we got to have the force of charge 1 on charge 3 must be equal to the force of charge 2 on charge 3. In other words, K times Q1 times Q3 over D squared must be equal to K times Q2 times Q3 over 1.5 minus D squared. Fortunately, the K's will cancel out, so we don't have to do that. And the Q3's will cancel out when we set them equal to each other. So we're left with Q1 over D squared is going to be equal to Q2 over 1.5 minus D squared. And the name of the game is just solve for D. Okay, so let's substitute for Q1. Q1 is 3. Actually, you know how I feel about substituting before we rewrite the equation, right? So let's do Q2 times D squared equals Q1 times 1.5 minus D squared. All right, and all right, so I've cross multiplied, and now I realize, let's change the color. Now I realize I have a polynomial I have to expand. So I got 1.5 minus D times 1.5 minus D, right? So I got Q2 times D squared equals Q1 times, okay, now we got to do the first, so that's 1.5 squared. Now we have to do the outers. So we have 1.5 times minus D, right? So that'd be minus 1.5D. Now we have to do the inner. That's another negative 1.5D. And now the last, negative D times negative D is D squared. Okay, so I'm going to get Q2D squared equals Q1 times 1.5 squared negative 3.0D plus D squared. I'm going to be out of time. We'll finish it in the next segment.